Welcome to Too Deep, Hokies Under the Influence. And it is Virginia Tech. This isn't some rinky-dink-ass program.
Come on, JC.
We're going to put those old guys in the grade. We'll go over some of the stats for the winners. 2%, 11.
It's an 11 game.
Welcome to Too Deep, Hokies Under the Influence, a Sons of Saturday podcast brought to you by Jack and Coke. This is an emergency edition of the show, Sam. It is Sunday night. It's late. It's been a long Sunday of text messages, calls, all kinds of different stuff across Hokie Nation. We've got big news. How are you feeling on this late Sunday evening? Do you feel relieved? Do you want to break the news? Do you want to tell everyone what we're talking about?
Yeah. Brent Pry has been fired as head coach of the Virginia Tech Hokies effective immediately after what could only be described as an absolute dumpster fire of a performance on Saturday night in Blacksburg. And we got Wild Turkey 101 proof being poured right now. I'm sticking to some water, but Pete, just wait till you see the beer I have for tomorrow. Oh, if you're into a College Football Monday, our national show, we'll do a little bit more of the like emotional reaction to the Hokies in the Tech Corner on that one. Check it out. You're going to want to see my beer. You're going to want to hear the more emotional reaction, but this is all about the Hokies who it needed to happen. I mean, we got the idea after the Vanderbilt game that it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
After the Old Dominion game, I think the hand was forced.
Cheers to change.
I had a weekend at Smith Mountain
look at
Lake,
you.
so I need to hydrate.
I needed to do a little something. I was out yesterday, football game, baseball game today, a little dinner down at the beach, but we wanted to do this tonight because we just need to get these thoughts out. We didn't want to rush it too much. I know Bill and Pat put theirs out this afternoon, so that's already in your feeds. Make sure you check that out, and we'll give our immediate reactions tonight and throughout the week. We may chat a little bit more about this probably, but yes, Pry is out as the coach of the Hokies. There was a release from the university that went out, and I'm not going to read through the whole thing. I just wanted to go over the last section here, Sam. It says, Board of Visitors members Jay Pearson and Ryan McCarthy have been charged by the rector, John Rakovich, to work with university leadership and AD Whit Babcock to develop a financial, organizational, and leadership plan that will rapidly position the VT football program to be competitive with the best in the ACC. That plan will be presented to the Board of Visitors later this month. The new framework for college sports will be fully established for next season. So this is the time to make a major move.
It is not the time to make a major move. The time to make a major move was about 5 years ago.
Or 9 months ago.
Yeah. And you asked how I felt, Pete. And I felt like I just took a really, really good shower. Like, you ever have the time when you're like, you've been working outside all day, maybe you were like at the beach all day and you got like sunscreen and salt and sand all over you and stuff. And you just take one of those showers and then you put your comfy clothes on after and you're like, oh my God, I feel amazing now. That's kind of how I feel today. You know, I'm not excited, but like, I feel much better. I feel like that stank is off of me a little bit.
There is some relief in they did it, right? Like,
yeah.
There was a question. I mean, we talk about the chat all the time, but it's a Sons of Saturday text thread. And like, there was a lot of hemming and hawing on the thread of whether they would do it or not.
Yeah.
Like whether or not they would do it after experiencing 28-0 at the half to Old Dominion. And maybe I'm burying the lead here, Sam, but we lost to Old Dominion at home for the first time ever, 45-26. In what was never a close game, in what was a shutout at the half. It amounted to about 65 unanswered points in lane from halftime of the Vanderbilt game through third quarter of the ODU game. Just the most embarrassing, most pathetic thing that could have ever happened to Virginia Tech football against an in-state team from a lower conference. And it left them no choice.
Yeah, I think the most jarring thing about it, other than the scoreboard, was the fact that after the Drones fumble, when he looked like he had picked up a really good 3rd and 11 scramble, fumbled right before he hit the ground. Tech would have been in to score a tying touchdown. It'd be 7-7. After that, I mean, I think we can use the Q word pretty handily that this team pretty much quit. And I think the coaches kind of quit too, because you started to see third and fourth stringers in this game in the second quarter. The defensive front seven multiple times had exclusively third string players in. And that to me was just it wasn't even a white flag of surrender. It was just winning the game is not important to us right now. And winning the game was not super important to Virginia Tech last night.
Yeah, it didn't seem that way from like, let me just list the first 6 drives: punt, fumble, interception, punt, fumble. Is that ready to play football to you? I mean, we talked about this ad nauseum just last week, and it's a hallmark of Pry's tenure, the not being ready to play. Just like we've seen first halves, the beginning of the Rutgers game, we could go on and on, where we're just not ready to play. And yet again, it's 7-0, it's 14-0. And so for you, Sam, you're taking in the game in whatever manner you're taking it in upon rewatch, whatever. When was the point where you're like, oh, he's getting fired tomorrow? Like, when was that point?
It was when it got to 14-0, because it became very obvious that Tech wasn't interested in the game. And to me, that is almost like you can't do that at that point.
No.
Like, I think at that point, Brent Pry is pretty much asking to be fired.
I think it was the interception for me.
The drone's interception was pretty pathetic.
It was super pathetic, and it was just like, fuck it.
Like, I mean, he the mental headspace of him is abhorrent.
And why? And we're not going to talk about the game a ton, but like, why was he still in the game?
Because they didn't care, Pete. They didn't care. I got to be honest.
And that was just Pry going down with the ship. Like, oh, this is my guy. I know I'm going down, and he's going down with me. I'm going to, I guess for whatever might be transfer purposes, whatever. Pry felt the need to leave him in the game. And hey, Kyron had 4 touchdowns, so congratulations. That's great. 4 TDs for Kyron. Great. We're happy about that. Just idiotic. You're down 14, 21-0. You have literally 0 to lose besides your pride, which is already gone, and you don't want to change quarterback for a spark? I mean,
I think there's a legitimate thought that they don't have anything behind him, and that this team, I don't think they have any faith in the team at all, at any position, at any level. I think they've come out and flat out said their offensive line's terrible. I don't believe they don't believe in Pop Watson for whatever reason.
They clearly don't.
They clearly don't. I mean, they didn't last year, right? He was demoted to 3rd string. And then this year he was in a competition with a guy who has been terrible when he's gotten in games, and they still won't put him in. They show no faith in the defense. They keep rotating guys out so much that, I mean, we end up having backup players in key situations.
Someone's got to be better than somebody else on that defense, and you're just going to rotate.
I don't understand what they're doing right now, but again, like, that to me makes it feel like this is very mental, and they understand that their guys aren't locked in.
Right.
And so they're just getting guys playing time and trying to not have guys get injured. On the bright side, Terrian Stewart looked pretty good.
Terrian Stewart. Bully. We wanted him. We liked that guy.
He ran well.
It
is infuriating. There's going to be a time.
Point, right?
I mean, Pete, there's going to be a time in this season. Tech is going to have, I can almost guarantee it right now. Tech is going to have a 2, maybe 3 game stretch at some point in this season where you say, damn, this is actually kind of a good team. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it's going to suck.
We look like morons. Everyone who picked us to even go 6-6 at this point looks like a moron. We were both slightly higher than that. But having the coach lose the entire locker room, and I hate this phrase, was not on our bingo card. And something happened. It might not be one incident. It could be a couple over a couple weeks or a couple days, but something happened after South Carolina, between South Carolina and halftime of Vanderbilt, where the team was this close to giving up, and then they gave up. Like something happened in there, and I don't know what it was.
Yep.
And nobody will. But we had the players only meeting, and then we had the freaking body language in the second half of Vanderbilt and the first half of ODU, which signaled, oh, they've quit on these coaches. Like they have quit on them.
Well, to kind of keep going with the news, it does seem equally big news. It does seem like Whit Babcock is also on his way out as he is entering kind of a transitionary phase. I think that's probably the only way that they can do it until they find a new guy to be the athletic director. He will be what we heard involved in the coaching search, which will be done by a coach search committee that we don't really have any other details on yet. But he will not be the one making the call. And
He won't be involved.
Yeah. And that note that you said about the message from Virginia Tech, that was from Tim Sands, not Whit Babcock. So
Yes,
I think
that
that's
was
an important note to that as well. So the Hokies will also be looking for a new athletic director here in the coming months.
That's just, they're trying to not make Whit look terrible. He will not be involved at all with whoever they bring in as the next head coach. He will have no say, none.
Pete, you're a more seasoned professional than I am, right? In the professional workspace. If you were to go to your bosses or senior leadership at where you work and give a very public presentation about how you have failed to do your job adequately for the past decade, do you think you would still have your current role?
No.
I don't think you would. And so when he goes up there and tells the whole world about how he has sucked the past 10 years, yeah, this was pretty inevitable for him.
I mean, he even said it during the presentation, right? Like, I'm probably not going to be here very long, or something to that degree was said.
Yeah, and we were told, like, hey, don't take that out of context. Don't take that. Yeah. No, I mean, he did a whole presentation about how he's been one of the worst ADs in the country the past 10 years. So
it wasn't about him being bad. It was about him needing more money to be good.
You know what? That is literally his number one job is getting money. Like that's
why he was hired.
Job description.
People think he was hired for all these other reasons. He was hired because he was a fundraiser. Primarily, like number one reason he was hired was because he was a fundraiser. And now he's here 10 years later begging for the funds that he hasn't raised.
Yep. And we have in all indications are that Virginia Tech does think that they will hit that $200 million budget for the next fiscal year for athletics. So that's the vibe right now in Blacksburg.
The vibe is that things are moving in the right direction. Like in terms of that. But however, Sam, I'm cutting you off. I'm sorry.
No. We've heard that before. I mean, we heard that with the Drive for 25. We heard that with the Reach for Excellence campaign.
Yeah, whatever happened to the Reach for Excellence, by the way?
Arms too short. Couldn't reach it.
Like they just stopped talking about that
because it didn't work. And it doesn't, like, none of that shit matters if you don't win on Saturdays. That's the only way this works. That's how Clemson makes their money. I mean, that and a little bit of embezzlement from a tax-free institution.
Sure.
That's how Georgia got their money to start with. That's how Bama got their money to start with. That's how USC got their money in the 70s. You win football games, and that does everything for you. So I save it with the grassroots movement stuff. That's not how it works anymore.
And like the biggest proof of you don't need money to win initially is we lost to freaking Vanderbilt and ODU. And yes, sure, Vanderbilt's in the SEC. They're not funded like we are in football.
No.
And ODU certainly isn't.
No.
And we're talking 65-0 through 4 quarters over those 2 games. 65-0 in our stadium. That's not money. That is kids quitting on a head coach, a program in real time giving up. And if they didn't do this today, Sam, like it would have been an affront to every single fan that goes to these games. They had to even question it. Of course we're going to, because they've shown no spine, no balls, no backbone for a year. This should have been done after the Syracuse game. After we blew an 18-point lead to Syracuse, it should have been done.
I mean, I've said on record, like I'm shocked Chris Marv wasn't fired as the defensive coordinator after the Syracuse game. I think not making the move this offseason with Brent Pry and not making the move with Tyler Bowen at OC, having Ohio State swoop in and get him, to me shows that they had zero confidence in Virginia Tech's ability to go out and hire somebody in a coaching pool. They did not believe that Virginia Tech could find anyone better. And whether that's correct, whether that's incorrect, doesn't matter because that's why they kept those coaches. So the next AD is going to have to find a way to outbid somebody for one of these coaches. Because we can talk about some of the potential candidates as well as some of the other schools that will be looking for head coaches as well. And UCLA just fired their head coach today as well. There's going to be competition for these guys, and you have to sell them on Virginia Tech. That's going to be really, really tough.
It can be tough. It may be tough. We will get into a little bit of the candidates and that kind of conversation in just a few more minutes here. I wanted to just talk about the reaction online. And I know you were having kind of a boys' weekend, enjoying yourself. So you might have not seen as much as I saw, but I'm sure you've become aware throughout the last 24 hours of like all the former players that were commenting on how embarrassing it was of what was happening. Like there was Eddie Royal, of course, said something. Sean Glennon said something. Isaiah Ford,
Jonathan McLaughlin. Yep.
McLaughlin, Kuma. I mean, it was dozens and dozens. I can't name them all, but there was lots and lots that were just, and you don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
Like even in the Vanderbilt game, we didn't see all that.
Yeah, it does point to this is something that you're supposed to have pride in.
Yeah.
And last night there really just wasn't any of that. And so for me, it was deader than dead already. And they just needed to make a move. Another piece of news that we kind of have buried, Phil Montgomery, the offensive coordinator, will be the acting head coach. He does have a vast amount of head coaching experience, as well as experience being a head coach and play caller at the same time when he was at Tulsa. So I think that's about as good as you could get it for an interim head coach at this level. He was 43-53 overall at Tulsa, which doesn't sound like a great record, but Tulsa might be the hardest place to win in the country. So I will give him a lot of credit there. And he did have some winning seasons at Tulsa as well. So the Hokies will be rolling with Phil Montgomery. Are you surprised it wasn't JC Price?
A little. Two? Yeah, okay. I am, because JC was the last interim head coach that we had when we fired Fuente. And he's a Virginia Tech through and through, 1995 team. Incredible player, incredible ambassador for Virginia Tech, and our maybe best positioned coach. Now this year, no one's been playing well. It's not like the offense has been playing well to defend Monty either, but I thought it would be Price because of what he did last time beating UVA, and just he's been here. He's been here the longest of just about anybody.
Galaxy brain connecting dots.
Yeah, sure.
You think part of the reason Phil Montgomery was put on this staff was for the potential of this situation?
Maybe.
Maybe.
But
I don't know if we're that forward thinking.
Him? So is he hiring his replacement? I don't know.
You could have a push from athletic director to say, hey, if we're choosing between two guys, go with this guy.
There's no doubt there could have been a little elbow from Witt.
There could have been an elbow, yeah. And that's all I'm saying. I have no idea, but it is kind of, this was predictable at the beginning of the season. Like if I was to tell you that Tech goes 0-2, they need an interim head coach, and it's Phil Montgomery, that would be you'd be like, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, there was a thought that crossed my mind this morning. And then I got a call from a friend of ours that suggested the same thing. Bud. I feel like it would have been kind of cool and fitting and needed to name someone like Bud Foster interim head coach.
I think you have a little bit of danger there of so much newness that nothing works.
Yeah.
I think you can, because you can sell me on the interim head coach gives a little fire.
Yeah.
But Foster's never been a head coach. He hasn't been coaching in college football for a long while. It's not his defensive scheme. To be honest, like he is a PR puppet for Virginia Tech right now, and I think that's it.
We saw him.
I mean, the whole defensive analyst consultant thing.
It's a farce.
I have never seen any proof of that. I do believe he has talked to Sam Seifkes at some point. I know, and I'm sure if anybody asked, "Hey, Bud Foster, can you come in here and watch some film with us?" I'm sure that's happened, but I don't believe there has been any serious, coaching capacity involved in that position.
Did you see? This is unrelated, kind of. It's all related, but the Pete Nakos tweet about like, oh, they're only 3 games into the season. Virginia Tech, they're not going to let their roster fall apart. Basically, a guy from On3, Nakos, who people are probably familiar with him if you follow college football, was saying essentially like they're not going to fire Pry tomorrow because they won't let their roster fall apart because all those guys could redshirt now and leave.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, are you watching what's happening? Like that was some dumbass shit that
to be honest to everybody, like there is potential for every one of these players to transfer.
Let them.
Yeah, that is like that's with the transfer rules. The 4-game thing doesn't really count if it's a midseason firing. So we're only 3 games in, but dude, I have no idea who is going to play on Saturday versus Wofford. I don't know what you're going to see.
Well,
I think you see Kyron start, but I would not be surprised if you see a skeleton crew of a football team.
Could be. Here's the thing. If they want to be there and they don't want to lay down, I'd rather have those guys than all the guys that want to bounce.
And I think it's doing it here because we talked about before, like, the bye week, they'll do it. But Tech has a pretty late bye week this year. And I got to be honest, Pete, and I feel stupid as shit for saying this. Wofford is terrible. Wofford is 0-3. They haven't sniffed a win yet. You should be able to just hand the ball off 32 and 33 dive the entire game with Stewart and Hawkins and win this game by 30. It really should be that simple.
That would have been a better offense this past week. I'll tell you that.
That offense probably would have won the game last week. So we'll see, but people need to sit down, put the roller coaster, put it on, and just get ready because half of this roster bags are packed already. Just accept that fact and move on.
We played the portal roulette, Sam.
Did not
work. And we hit 0-0.
Mm.
And we were on black or red, or we had our stuff spread out all over the place.
Did you mean to do that 0-0? Oh no, Pete. I mean, here's half the fan base gets the what? Stu Holt isn't being retained. I'll tell you that.
It's fitting, yeah. It's fitting. 0-0. That's what that roulette came up because you mess around in that portal, man. You take that many players.
Mm-hmm.
This can happen. We talked about it in the offseason. We were hoping for the best. We were hoping Claytor Lake did the trick.
Claytor Lake, Pete. They went to Claytor Lake.
We're being cynical, but we've seen success stories out of the portal. We've seen teams take on this many transfers. Vanderbilt did it a year ago. I mean, we've seen so many teams do this and it worked, but we've seen the Florida State example, as we said last week, where it doesn't work. But now Florida State's doing it again and they're good. So you just don't know what you're going to get. And if you've got a bad head coach who says something or does something stupid after a big game, which I believe he must have, that quit on you.
Yeah, the demeanor that I got from him after the South Carolina game was that he kind of ripped him a new one after that game, which was probably needed because that was a game that Tech lost with self-inflicted wounds. If you have a team that's already on the edge, though, and they don't like how a tough loss like that was handled after a string of tough losses, I think that could have done something.
And we know that Pry has, at least what we've seen on the field, a lack of a feel for moments in games, when to do a certain thing, when to push the right button. He's always pushed the wrong button. And so if that spills over to the locker room and he thinks this speech, we are projecting, by the way. We are just spitballing. I want to make that clear. But if he thinks, oh, this speech right here, this is going to work. Well, guess what? He probably did it wrong, because that's what he does in all aspects of being a head coach on game day. The only thing he did well, and let's get a little bit more into this, Sam, like what went wrong over the last 2 weeks. One of the few things that he did well, both of us felt, was roster build. Like, we felt like the recruiting is not where we want it to be for 2026. But in the first few years, he was doing a good job in high school and pulling key pieces out of the portal.
Yeah. I think he had a much better feel than Justin Fuente for how to build a roster and how to build a depth chart, maybe more importantly. I don't think talent is the issue on this Virginia Tech team. I certainly do think the mishires at offensive line coach have really set this program back, because you had two coaches who pretty much refused to recruit. And so I got to be honest. I'm looking forward. It might be 3 or 4 years before Virginia Tech has a good offensive line. It's going to be really tough.
It depends. Like, there's so many factors, because I think Matt Moore is a good coach. I do. Like, whatever's going on right now, like a lot of injuries up front, I think he's a good coach. He can recruit. He puts guys in the league. If a new coach came in and decided, you know what, I want Matt Moore to be my offensive line coach, and we keep 10 of these guys, I don't think it's so far-fetched that they could be decent in a year or two. There's a lot of promise on this roster. If you get a good head coach who knows how to win and knows how to motivate, all that kind of stuff. But it killed the beginning of Florida State when Willie Taggart came on, and the end of Jimbo Fisher. When Penn State was revamping under Bill O'Brien, Christian Hackenberg had no line. Like, you cannot do anything if you don't have an offensive line, and we haven't had an offensive line, and this is year 4.
Yeah.
And it just makes it really tough to build anything unless you have consistency, or you go out in the portal and you replace 4 guys and they all hit.
Yeah.
And that happens, but not often, and you need money.
I would say another thing that I thought he did well was the PR relation to the fan base stuff. I do think he nailed, especially at the beginning. And I think now that is looked at as kind of a worthless, demeaning type thing. And does it help on Saturdays? Not really. But for me, you had a hire in Justin Fuente beforehand, where I actually think the on-field coaching was pretty good, and the actual like development of players wasn't that bad. It was everything else off the field was so bad that Virginia Tech wasn't able to recruit, and they had no talent on those teams.
Yes, that and the offensive design was just
was poor. And then I think they tried to like overcorrect with this staff and make it all PR in recruiting.
Yeah.
And it was great PR, and they got some decent results for recruiting to start. But when the wins didn't come along because they weren't really that good of football coaches, now you don't have either.
Yeah.
And whoever the next AD is, if you're looking for a hire, like, you can't go all in one side or the other. Like, you have to have somebody who can do both, and you have to build a staff that can do both. I mean, they haven't been able to do that.
And I would say
the linebacker stuff for me is shocking. If we look at holistically this 4 years, having poor linebacker play like this is just, nobody in the country thought Virginia Tech was going to be this bad at linebacker.
Because there's hundreds of recruits that can play linebacker. You don't need to be 6'4", 300. You don't need to run a 4.2. There's a lot of like meat on the bone in terms of players available to play linebacker, and they couldn't. And they had tons of them, tons of athletic guys, and they couldn't coach them up.
No one playing 2 of them this year.
They couldn't coach them up, despite having every linebacker in the book on the coaching staff trying to coach them. Yeah. And with Pry, like, in terms of what went wrong for him over the couple of years, I think most people know a lot of the flaws. One thing you listed was the sideline demeanor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that bleeds over into the locker room demeanor, into, practice demeanor. Like, if he looks like what I called a sad puppy last week on the sideline, how does he ever look like he's your coach? Does he ever feel like he's like bringing confidence to the table to make you play better? Like that, I don't know. Like, you listen to Brent Key talk, you listen to Dan Lanning talk, Kirby, like these guys are psychopaths of confidence and belief. And that's just not what Pry is.
No. And it is kind of surprising because one of the aspects of this Virginia Tech program that they felt like they were going to capture was like the grittiness back, because it was such a buzzword. And we felt like with this staff and bringing him, having JC Price in there, bring Xavier DB back, like they thought they were going to get this gritty, tough blue collar team, and they ended up having the complete opposite. It was the softest football team that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's like, he did a really good job of buzzwords. We're going to recruit Virginia. We're going to recruit the Tidewater, lunch pail defense, 95 team. This is home. Like, buzzword the crap out of all of us. And there was just not actually any substance behind it. And so for me, like when we go into talk about like potential hires, I don't want a guy with Virginia Tech ties. I don't even know if I want someone with state of Virginia ties, because I'm so sick of the buzzword crap. And I know if you get somebody, especially somebody connected to Virginia Tech in some way, they can win an interview with buzzwords, and they can win over donors with buzzwords, and not actually with how they are as a football coach.
I want to address that exact thing just a little bit later with regard to Michael Vick and other former players. Like, we need to talk about that briefly tonight. With just finishing the thought on Pry's tenure, there were red flags throughout that we may have swept under the rug, may have not wanted to believe were red flags. I think in general, there was a lot of lack of attention to detail in every aspect of his coaching. And we've heard stories, but I'll use a simple one. Giving the lead singer of Metallica the wrong jersey.
And calling the color burgundy.
I know that seems silly, but like, it is the little. Do you think Nick Saban would have ever let that happen? No. And that's just one example. But like, we heard the thing about them being late to practice, like that practice was starting late consistently. Chris Coleman said that. He said it. I'm just reporting what he said last week about they would go to practice for media, and it was always 15 minutes later than it should have been. And like, you ask any of the other former players that played for Tech, they said that never happened. Like, practice was never not on time. And there's a lot of things in the bank of like things I've heard over the years, and I'm not going to divulge them all because most of them are rumors, but I tend to believe a lot of them now. But it all comes back to very little attention to detail with this team. And it shows. I mean, it shows week after week on the field. There is so little attention to detail, and that it can be what you get when you have a first-time head coach and 2 first-time coordinators up until this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of the attention was put towards the PR, was put towards the image. I mean, it was...
He thought he was going to bring in 2 young recruiters at the coordinator spots and just bring in talent, and that would fix everything. Well, guess what? You don't have James Franklin being the head coach to make sure they all know how to play and get on the field at the same time and be on practice at the same time and all this kind of stuff. Like, you're no longer just the side show. Like, you need to be the guy, and he was never meant to be. Some people are followers, and he's a follower.
There was way too much spent on making this team look like quintessential Virginia Tech and not enough about actually worrying about what was going on the field. I mean, there was, as a football program of this size, you can't be worrying about what people are tweeting out, right? You can't be worried about that stuff. You can't be policing meme accounts. You can't be doing all that crap.
He's blocking people. He's messaging people we know and saying, hey, are you trying to help us out?
Not anymore.
No, we're not trying to help you out, because he would hear on a podcast that someone is talking shit on him and he would message them. Does that sound like a head coach of a P4 program?
It sounds like a program that's a little bit more worried about how they look than how they play. And I said it. My biggest thing was after the NC State game in Raleigh, where Tech had 10 false starts. I was like, this team doesn't actually care. They're not practicing. They don't actually have focus. They don't actually have discipline. That was year 2, I believe.
Well, guess what, Sam? On Saturday night, 12 penalties, 113 yards, 3 turnovers.
It's there
was
never. Yep. I mean, there was never any. It really did feel like what happened between kickoff and the final kneel down on Saturdays was just not important. That's what it really felt
he didn't know how to do it. And that's what, like, where did he fall the most short? Like, what caused him to lose his job? What caused him to lose his job is obviously not winning games. But why did he not win the games? Lack of in-game coaching success, lack of motivation, lack of preparation, lack of discipline, and lack of development. That's a lot of lacks, man.
It really seems like nothing was like nothing was good.
I mean, clearly they were good enough to win 9 games last year. They were this close to doing it. They were, a bunch of 1-score losses away. But like this, you have to do the little things. At this level, if you want to win, like, all these teams are close, man, especially in the ACC. These teams are close. Games come down to 3 points all the time. Like, you need to win on every single margin. And if you're starting practice late, you're not going to win on those margins. If you don't know what jersey you wear on Saturday so you can give someone the right new jersey, you're not going to win on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's why when we go to people who we want to see as potential candidates, I am almost exclusively looking at win-loss record, because I'm done with all the other stuff at this point. Everything else will take care of itself. For me, I need to see somebody who has won big-time football games. I'm not interested in anything else.
Hold that thought. Before we get to some candidates and the hiring process, I want to let people know that 2D Hokies Under the Influence is brought to you by Jack and Coke. You can see the can right on your screen. 2 legends, 1 can, Jack and Coke. We've talked about the vanilla, the cherry, the Coke Zero sugar, they're all great. You can get the variety pack with the original cherry and vanilla all in one box. But if you looked at the Suns account last week, there's a Jack and Blackberry liquor, like straight up liquor, not Jack and Coke in a can mixed. No, we're talking the real Tennessee whiskey, blackberry flavored. That is now out. Something you guys definitely want to grab this fall. But Jack and Coke is awesome, man. It goes down easy. You don't need to mix it. You can throw it right in the cooler, bring it to the tailgate. It rules. And if you're going to Wofford or you're going to any other Hokies games this year, you're going to want a tailgate, and you're going to want to have a few before you go in. Because, man, I feel, dude, Sam, before I get to the last line of this ad read, did you see the crowd yet again for this game?
I heard from people at the game it was a great crowd to start.
It looked phenomenal.
And then it all went wrong.
Like loaded, like packed to the brim, as we do, because we're Virginia Tech. After a horrific game.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those people were treated to what can only be thought of as the worst effort of the 21st century in Lane Stadium. And by my eye, I mean, I thought Vanderbilt was the low. This is lower. Like, that was a worse effort. And so 2 legends, 1 can, Jack and Coke. You're going to need it. And when you do need it, make sure to drink responsibly. So this hiring process, it does seem a little convoluted the way they're putting it out there. And it's tough, right? Because we have an AD who we know is going out the door. So that makes hiring someone difficult when you don't have an athletic director, because one of the fatal flaws of any football hire is hiring them before you have an AD, because then it's not his guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a problem, right? Like this is messy. We said it last week and we're repeating it tonight. Like, This is not a clean process. And Coleman went on a rant about how like they really screwed it up. They should have had Witt step down over the summer and found a new AD in preparation for the worst happening. Because we see it all from afar and we can be hopeful from afar. But if what we see was as bad as it was, and we're just like hoping beyond hope the new hires work, they're seeing the real shit. They know, like they had to have known that this wasn't going to work. They had to have.
Yeah, I think there was a vibe that if it went wrong, it would go horribly wrong. That maybe we didn't catch that, from afar. I certainly don't think many people on that board of visitors really were that familiar with the Virginia Tech football program, to be honest with you. I think they saw the results on Saturdays and maybe went to games and sat in the box, but they weren't in the weeds. Like they aren't in the mud like we are, Pete.
They weren't tailgating every Saturday as a student?
No, they weren't. They're not. I guess we're just built different, Pete.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess so.
I think it is going to be really important, though, like you said. This has to be a complete restructuring of the athletic department, because there are other issues that we'd have a 4-hour podcast. We got into all the issues with the Hokie Club and ticketing and game day ops and a drone show that apparently wasn't actually a drone show and was instead a advertisement for the Virginia Lottery, like all that shit. Like I'm not even worried about that right now because none of it actually matters.
Yeah.
And so it's going to have to be a complete rehaul, and you need somebody to lead that rehaul. And I think this coach search committee is probably going to be somewhat in conjunction with the athletic director search committee. And I think I would not be surprised to see a package deal. I'll say that. Yeah. Like, I think a package deal is on the table.
And here's the thing about a package deal. And when Sam says package deal, he means AD and a coach in that AD's back pocket, essentially, right? That's what you're referring to?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what we got, Virginia Tech fans, with Witt and Buzz Williams. It didn't seem like it because they weren't at the same university, but like Witt came in and he brought a home run hire that raised the profile of our basketball program. To this day, that's the only reason we have Mike Young. It's the only reason we have an ACC championship. I know last year went bad, but our profile of our basketball program was raised by Witt having a package deal with a head coach. It can happen like that. If you get the right AD who knows the right people and knows football, which Witt never did. And so it can happen fast, man. It can happen very fast. And God willing, it happens fast for Virginia Tech. But it's hard to see that when we have been in football hell for far too long. I mean, I swear to God, Sam, I must have died in August and been banished to football hell. Like, I can't believe this is where we are. Like, I really can't. But to your point, that would be best case scenario as long as it's the right coach.
Yeah.
Which is always going to be the caveat.
Yeah. It's going to be difficult. I think, do we want to talk names?
Let's talk some names.
So here are some big names these are names that are going to be the big targets for everybody. Let's do that group too. Every program who needs a head coach is going to be looking at these guys. Alex Golish, who is currently at South Florida. Mm-hmm. Yes, they got rocked by Miami, but he's been a very good coach. And another thing he has done, he has really, really improved the financial status of that program at South Florida. They're having a new on-campus stadium that they're in the works of building. They've really just improved dramatically as a football program while he's been the head coach there. This is John Summerall, who's currently at Tulane. He's an SEC guy. He went to Kentucky. So he is going to be really, really tough for anybody to get, but he's going to be the biggest candidate in the nation. If you want to go to another sitting head coach who's maybe from a bigger program, GJ is really difficult to say. GJ Kine from Texas State has been a guy who's.
I didn't think you were going to go to Kenny this fast.
Kenny, here's my thing with him. He has a little bit of this offensive mastermind to him, and he's consistently won at Texas State, and that's a program that was never, ever a winner until he got there. So I think that's Him and like Jeff Traylor at UTSA are two guys that they're very, very Texas. They're from Texas, coach in Texas. I think it's going to be hard to get either of those guys, but they're going to be on the radar for a lot of programs. Bob Chesney, who's at JMU, is one that kind of bridges that gap between a lot of people are going to want him and makes sense for Virginia Tech. Doesn't have the experience though, but we'll get into a little more of the details there.
Good looking guy.
Yep. And then if you want to go to the coordinators, the number one coordinator to look at is going to be Will Stein, who's the offensive coordinator for Oregon. No head coaching experience. Played at Louisville, I believe. I might be wrong in that, but I'm pretty sure he played at Louisville.
Oh, yeah.
And he is maybe the best offensive coordinator in the country right now. And then Sloan from LSU, who is a Richmond, Virginia native as well. So those are the big ones. But of those guys, do any of them seem like Virginia Tech fits?
I mean, I don't care about fit. I really don't. I mean, at this point, we've done fit. We've done VT tie guy. Doesn't matter. And you kind of alluded to it with the winning thing. Summerall is the crown jewel of this coaching class. I mean, he's a Kentucky guy. So it seemed like at one point he was going to be the successor to Stoops. But Stoops has this like gigantic buyout. And I mean, if you're not aware, and Sam just kind of went through it, but Summerall's the guy at Tulane, and he's kicking ass, and he just beat Duke. And the week before that, they who did they beat last week? It was another decent win.
Northwestern.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, they crushed Northwestern, but there was somebody else in there. But it doesn't matter. Like, he's done a great job at Tulane, and I would love to have him. Absolutely love to have him. I don't care that he's not been a sitting P4 head coach. I mean, there's like some people say like I need sitting head coach experience. And at this point, I agree with that. And when you say sitting head coach, I think most people mean G5, P4. But at the same time, like you're probably not getting any P4 sitting head coach experience coming in unless you hire a retread, which do you want Jimbo Fisher? Do you want Coach O? Do you want who else are some of the retread names that get thrown around all the time?
I mean, gosh, should we talk about Dan Mullen?
Dan Mullen? I mean, of the retreads, Mullen's at least at a G5 now and had a nice couple weeks. Like
yeah, he has.
Like, and he had success at the P4 level. Like that's one of the rare former P4 coaches that I feel like you could talk me into that. There are no hard and fast rules for me, Sam.
I'm open to any and all ideas at this point. Because I would say too,
go ahead
with the fit thing. I believe the movie is Bride Wars with another Anne Hathaway reference. It's a Vera Wang.
She's a gem.
You don't change the dress. You fit into the dress, right? It's a Vera Wang. We need a coach that's a Vera Wang dress.
Yeah.
Some people listening might get that reference, but I think if you're going for like the big blockbuster type head coaches, I think Dan Mullen kind of fits into that because of his prominence as an SEC coach for like 15 years.
People know who he is.
Yeah. I mean, Gruden has said he wants to get back into it. Ed Orgeron has kind of hinted he wants to get back into it. I don't know if Virginia Tech is a place where coaches like that can succeed. First off, I don't think Ed Orgeron's a very good football coach. I think he had one of the greatest rosters in college football history. God. And other than that, has never really been a good coach.
Yeah.
And I think Gruden is not a modern enough coach to be able to really work in 2025.
Gruden 26. Has not coached in college since at the earliest or most recently the 80s.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't think it was a head coaching role.
Yeah.
Gruden is a great TV personality, but I don't think any program that's trying to build themselves up and be like a serious college football program long-term wants to hire John Gruden. I could be wrong. I don't think it's a good idea. For PR, if you want to win the PR game and you want to get a bunch of hype and maybe bring in a 1 5-star, sure, hire John Gruden. Long-term, that's not going to work out. And that's my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't think it's going to work.
Look at Colorado.
How's it
Colorado's
going?
not won a lot of football games.
The celebrity hire coach. Look at UNC. They struggled with Charlotte. I know they won the game. It wasn't a good game. They're not going to do anything with Bill Belichick, and that's one of the most legendary pro football coaches. If you look at John Gruden, he hasn't done anything in the pros in 20 years. Like look at his coaching record. He won a Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's team in Tampa Bay, and he's been living off of it because he's funny. And so, no, John Gruden, Jimbo Fisher, Coach O, that's not what we need. A coach that might be here. We need a coach that's going to develop. And if he's not going to be here, the only reason he's not going to be here is because he was so good he got hired away. That's what we want. And did you say Stein? Did you bring up Stein from Oregon?
Yeah.
A couple other names. Jed Fish. Like that's been talked about.
That's going to be so Jed Fish, if you don't know, he's the head coach at Washington. They're a pretty good team this year. Washington has a top 10 recruiting budget in the country in terms of like staff and facility build out.
He's been on some lists. I wanted to at least bring it up.
It's going to be, that is one of them where like I could see him going somewhere. I don't think it's us.
No, I don't think so either.
Glenn Schumann, the defensive coordinator for Georgia. That's a big name.
See, I love the yeah. I don't want to run into the same mistakes. That's my fear.
I think here's where you don't run into the same mistakes. And I'm not saying Schumann is here's how you don't do it, or how I would prefer to think that the new AD wouldn't do it. He knows football, he knows leaders, and you choose accordingly. Like that, that's really what it is. Like, I don't know how Witt landed on Pry. And I'm sure he came highly recommended from Franklin. But you need to be able to identify and talk to the right people that you're like, oh yeah, this is the guy you want. Like, this is the guy you're just going to lead your program. Like, not like, oh yeah, he's a good guy. He can recruit. You need to know. Like, and we're not in those rooms. We're not going to be the AD. And so whoever it is, like the AD hire is just as important as the coach hire, because they're going to be making the decision. And in a perfect world, yes, I want head coaching experience. I want that win-loss record to be solid. I'm not afraid of hiring a G5 guy, because most of the best coaches in the sports were either coordinators or G5 guys before they got their job. You just don't know sometimes. But you know whose responsibility it is to know? The person who hires them. And so that is, people aren't going to want to hear that, but like, don't close yourself off. Oh, he was a coordinator. He wasn't head coach. He's not going to be good. Oh, he doesn't have P4 experience. You don't know, and neither does anybody else. But the AD should know. And we can at least look at the candidate's like resume and say, yeah, there are reasons to believe that this would be a good hire. Ryan Silverfield at Memphis, another name.
Yeah, so that's the one that I was ready to talk about. Do you want to talk about him? Because he hasn't been mentioned at all until maybe today. And I know I just said I don't care where they're from, but he did go to Hampton-Sydney College in Virginia and coached there for a while as well. So he's very familiar with the Blue Ridge Mountain area of Virginia. He was with the Lions for a little bit. Offensive line guy is kind of his forte, but he's been at Memphis since 2016. As a head coach overall, he's 45-21. Memphis is a very good team this year again. I think it would be tough to win the press conference with another Memphis guy, but he is a proven coach at this point.
Well, the one Memphis guy went 13-0 2 years ago and just beat Alabama 2 weeks ago. Now he went 2-10 also in Mike Norvell. But if you're asking me Fuente or Norvell, I think Norvell was the right choice, and maybe Silverfield would be the right choice. It seems
Silverfield also has 6 years of NFL experience.
And if you take out if you take out his first couple years when he was building them up, like he has a ridiculous record in the last 3 years.
2023 they went 10-3. In 2024 they were 11-2. This year they're off to 3-0. So, and you're looking at the last 3 years, He is 24-5 at Memphis in the American Conference.
Right. It's not a joke of a conference. It's decent. So I like the Silverfield name. I like Summerall. I like Stein, the offensive coordinator from Oregon. I feel like he'd be a home run. He's learning from Dan Lanning, who is one of my favorite coaches in the country. Schumann, people are high on Schumann. He works for Kirby. Like, here's the thing. There are certain coaches where you hire their understudies. Nick Saban would be one. Most of the Nick Saban tree, Sark, Bill O'Brien, who's the and Bill O'Brien's not the best.
Kirby
example.
Smart,
Lane, Kirby Smart. There's another one. It doesn't matter. Most of them are successful, very successful.
Mm-hmm.
Fran Brown is one of Kirby Smart's guys. Went up to Syracuse and did what hasn't been done in years. You know, like, I would rather, like, Franklin, does he have this kind of track record? Like, has any of Franklin's guys become head coaches? Ricky Ronnie?
Ricky Ronnie without Virginia Tech is nothing. The whole Old Dominion program without beating Virginia Tech is nothing. They have nothing else.
So sad, man. So freaking sad.
So I think you need to sever you need somebody who is so unaffiliated with Virginia Tech. Like, you need them to have never, ideally it's somebody who's never set foot in Blacksburg, Virginia. And I mean that honestly. Like, you need somebody who is not in with all this crap.
Before we talk Michael Vick, the Bob Chesney thing. I like Bob Chesney. Came from Holy Cross, goes to JMU. JMU has hit on every head coaching hire.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, structurally, they're the opposite of Virginia Tech. Like, they can just bring in a new guy. It doesn't matter who it is. They're going to win, at least for now. Chesney's doing the 2 quarterback thing right now. Like,
Chesney got caught in the NIL game a little bit this year.
Like,
yeah.
That was a bad look. I like Bob Chesney, and I'm sure he's going to end up doing well. And he says all the right things. He's a good-looking dude. He'd be killer in the media, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if he's done enough to warrant us hiring him. Now, what I would say is, if you want to give me whatever they got structurally going on at JMU and you want to bring it all to Virginia Tech, I'd do that. I said that 3 years ago. I'd like to do that because they're doing something right up there.
That's for me, that's the most likely package deal. I forget the name of the AD. He's relatively new AD at James Madison. And he's one of these guys who he was at like Nicholls State beforehand, or Eastern Kentucky. I think he's like Nicholls State to Eastern Kentucky to JMU, or maybe he started EKU. I don't know, but he's like laddered his way up really quickly. And I could see, like, for me, that's the most obvious package deal. Now, the issue with that is neither of them have touched power conference football. And JMU, even with Chesney here, is an awful at high school recruiting. They do not get high school talent. And I think you need somebody who has proven to be able to recruit a big boy level, whether it's a coordinator or a head coach.
I would agree. He's 1 year out of Holy Cross. I mean,
yeah.
Like, what? And so let's move to Vic, because every old school fan under the sun, even some younger fans, my age, your age, hey, what about Michael Vick? Are we coming around on this Michael Vick thing? Michael Vick's a head coach. Why would we not bring our best player ever and make him Virginia Tech's head coach? One day, I think if he proves to be a good head coach, that could be a decision. He's been at Norfolk State for 3 games. He had no prior head coaching experience. Take the Virginia Tech out of it. Would you hire a guy with 3 games of head coaching experience at Norfolk State who's never been a head coach before? No, you wouldn't. And so I'm not hating on Michael Vick or the staff he's assembled or anything like that. I just think it's preposterous to think that's a good idea. Preposterous is how I'd say, Sam.
I think I could very much see, if you're going to have any Virginia Tech connection, I could see whoever comes in giving him a call and saying, what do you want to be? Like, some position. I don't know if it's offensive
if you want to make him an assistant, absolutely,
quarterback coach, something like, if you want to bring him in and do something, sure. I think that makes sense to me from a recruiting boost standpoint, and also getting somebody in the building who you feel like their career arc would have gone full circle. I get that. I don't think you can play that game right now, though.
It's too
because it needs to
risky.
be a win.
It's too risky because we love Mike, but he got blown out by Towson. He got blown out by Rutgers. Like
blown out by Rutgers. He could be a head coach at Virginia Tech.
He's Virginia Tech quality right there. Now it's just, I'm not hating on it. Like, he has to learn. He has to learn. He is not in a position to be a sitting Power 4 head coach. He's just not. And he could get there. I'm not closing the door on it. He could get there. But it's just not going to happen right now. For me, other people clearly feel differently. Other people think it's our silver bullet, Sam.
It would win on social media.
For a day.
But last time I checked, the amount of likes and retweets you get doesn't count on the scoreboard.
We just talked about celebrity hires.
Yeah.
It's not even working for Dion. It's not.
It's not.
He's under 500, isn't he?
Yeah, he's under 500. They're going to struggle this year.
Yeah.
They're going to struggle.
So he had an incredible quarterback and the Heisman Trophy winner. In 3 years, he's under 500.
Yep.
Less than 3 years. So,
man, we'll see.
Is there any more candidates we want to talk about? Like,
not right now. I think I'd rather do as the season progresses and we get more news and we figure out where this is going to go. We'll keep talking on this throughout the season, of course. But right now, I think those are the quick. I say quick. We're at an hour now, but yeah, that's about all.
You're gonna hear the same candidate names that you hear a lot of, like Jeff Monken.
Yeah.
Right. Like that name will come up. There is a lot of names like that tend to come up over and over again. And there's a lot of names I'd be happy with. Like, just because I don't like the idea of Gruden or Coach O or Michael Vick, they're like Summerall, Schumann, Stein, Silverfield, Kinney. Like, I could be talked into all of those. Mullen might be great for Virginia Tech. Like but we're just in the very early stages of this. And I'll be flexible. If you want to talk me into Gruden, feel free to talk me into Gruden.
I'm going to ask you to do the impossible as we wrap this up, and I'll do the same. You're betting man.
I like.
Who's your bet on right now? Just one name. If you had to bet
on it? That we land or that we go after?
That is the next head coach of Virginia Tech football.
That's so difficult, man. I'll say Stein. I will say Stein at this point. Schumann might be a better guess. I just feel the reason I say that, and this is not based in anything, but just a thought in 3 seconds when Sam asked me the question. I feel like we're going to strike out on a couple of the top candidates.
Yeah,
because I think Summerall is the dream candidate, in my opinion. I think Silverfield is good. I think there's other candidates that will emerge. It could very well be Bob Chesney because of what you just said.
Yep,
proximity, all that kind of stuff. I just feel like who's attainable, who I think is good. I'm throwing out a name. And so I throw out Stein. It could easily be another coordinator. Do you feel that a sitting coordinator is more likely than a sitting head coach?
I think it's more likely to make a splash hire with a sitting. I actually don't know, because the names I'm about to say, I'm about to go back to my tinfoil hat theory that I had in like June, maybe even before that, maybe May, if you remember. Dan Mullen.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about Mullen a lot.
Dan Mullen, and somebody who was at his current stop at UNLV and is now the sitting athletic director at the University of Arizona, and previously worked at Virginia Tech for a few years.
Francois?
Desiree Reed-Francois.
Yeah.
Because Tim Sands would love to hire her back.
Yeah.
And she could bring in Dan Mullen, as she was connected with a lot of the people who made that hire at UNLV.
I'm
And also
looking down
UNLV,
right now.
by the way, can't afford to pay Mullen for much longer. So
No,
he's
I mean,
not
he's
staying
not
at
gonna-
UNLV.
He's not going to be there. This
But
is
that's
from,
what I'm going for right now.
I'm looking at my phone because I asked people about their thoughts on Instagram earlier, and I'm looking at some of the comments. And there's a name on here that just knocked my socks off
Okay, I'm ready for it. I'm not wearing socks, but
that
I'm
I
ready for it.
really like
Mhm.
and I think might pay dividends.
Oh,
Should I draw this out any longer?
Go for it.
Pat Fitzgerald. Wow. Wow.
He just settled that law. He just got that lawsuit money. Ooh, man.
Did that surprise you?
I'm smiling. If you're not
That
watching
was
on YouTube, I'm
Let me
smiling.
get this right. Wilvermill. I don't know if that's supposed to be a play on Rivermill, but Wilvermill sent Dan Mullen or Pat Fitzgerald.
I mean, Pat Fitzgerald would have to make some substantial coordinator hires, in my opinion.
Yeah, because he wasn't doing great at the end of Northwestern.
No.
Let's be clear
His
about
head coaching record is not super impressive.
But that's a hard place to win.
Yep.
And he, at one point, was in a well above average head coach in college football.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, if that's the guy, yeah, I'm in.
You might get good linebacker play.
Maybe.
Pat was the man in college, that's for sure.
He
I
was.
remember that. Darnell Autry, Pat Fitzgerald, I think they were on the same team. 1995, they played Jake the Snake in the Rose Bowl. That's right. Northwestern went to a Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Because Pat Fitzgerald was that good. Chris Kleiman was a name on the Instagram. That came from Lance Weller.
Mm-hmm.
I like Kleiman.
Yep. I think the Big 12 names, I'm a little bit like, I don't know about them. I kind of racked my brain through all of those guys, and I don't know if there's one that would land at Virginia Tech right now.
Mm-hmm.
But Pat Fitzgerald. He was 110 and 101 as a head coach. So far.
Okay. What were like
just
years
at Northwestern
3 to 6 like? Can you look at that?
Scrolling. Like in years 3 to 6 of his tenure.
Yeah.
In 2008 they went 9-4. In 2009 they went 8-5. In 2010 they went 7-6.
8, 9, 7 at Northwestern.
Well, here's saying 2012 they went 10-3 and won the Gator Bowl. In 2015 they went 10-3. In
how hard it is to win 10 games at Northwestern?
We're getting closer. In 2017 he went 10-3, and then in 2018 he went 9-5 and won the West Division.
Right, he played in the championship game.
At one point, they had won 4 straight. Actually, at one point, they won 5 out of 6 bowl games that they played in. I mean, he had he had another like 3-9 year in 2021. They didn't recover from COVID very well.
They didn't recover from COVID.
And then there was the bullying scandal that actually, if you're just familiar with the bullying scandal and the reason he was let go by Northwestern, they actually just settled that lawsuit and the jury of court ruled that, or the judge, not jury, ruled that he didn't in fact know anything about what was going on.
He got off. Like it wasn't
so there is
his responsibility was expunged on that.
I mean, he was 65-76 in the Big Ten at Northwestern.
And we should say the Big Ten West was basically the ACC Coastal, but that's a better record than.
But he dealt with. I mean, he dealt with like prime Iowa, prime Wisconsin.
Of course.
He had to.
No, I'm not knocking him. He is like what Jeff Brom did at Purdue. Mm-hmm. That's what Fitzgerald was doing at Northwestern.
He'll be a name to throw around. What we could do, Pete, and I'll say this live, and maybe we shouldn't, but like we could just tweet out like Virginia Tech interested in Pat Fitzgerald. And if we tweet that out enough, it might happen.
It might happen. Yeah, that's an interesting name. But there's, you know what? If that name can hit me and surprise me, there's more.
Yep.
And I just to close out here, like I said this on our thread, just what's the number per year that you're willing to part with to get Nick Saban to come in for 3 years to coach Virginia Tech? Like, what is that number per year? Is it 10 million a year?
I think it's going to be 10.
Because like if it's 10, if it was an option, which it's not, but like
Pride was getting paid. Pride was at like 4, by the way.
If it's 10, that is a no-brainer. That is an absolute no-brainer. If it's 15, you might have to finance it and it could get a little bit more sticky in how you generate the funds and all that stuff, but it's probably still a no-brainer at 15. Like they're paying Bill Belichick 10.
Yeah, I think you are at I'll be very, very curious to see what they end up being able to pay, because Virginia Tech fell way, way behind in coaching salaries. With the increase in the athletic budget, I do wonder how much of that will be able to go
on
to
the hire.
Well, we got to pay another buyout.
$6 million.
$6 million.
It's not nothing, but it doesn't matter. They're going to finance it over X amount of years. It's, what's money, Sam? What's money?
It's a social construct designed by the government to control us.
It has no meaning.
None of
it has absolutely no meaning.
Literally, the only thing that matters is college football on Saturdays, Pete.
Right. Like,
nothing else matters.
In college football terms, money is not real.
Nope.
Let's get serious. But
not real.
Anyway, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you for listening. We're going to come back tomorrow. We're going to do College Football Monday. As for what happens later in the week, because we've kind of gone through all this, me and Sam will talk about it. And we'll come up.
Yeah, and if there's genuinely, if there's anything people want to hear about, let us know. Because if you're just not interested in the results of games this season, but you still want to come and hang out and hear content, let us know what you would like to hear. We're open.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we want to at least appeal to your sensibilities, because right now no one cares.
I'm not doing a Wofford preview. I'll say
no one cares about that.
I'm not doing a Wofford preview.
I care about it. Sam cares about it. We kind of care about it, but what can we really say? ACC play starts in a couple weeks, and we will be previewing those games. We're on the off chance the team decides they want to play football, we will preview those games. But for now, we are going to we're going to talk about the nation tomorrow, Sam, because that was more fun this past weekend, I gotta say.
Yep.
All right. Make sure you subscribe. Too Deep on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Sons of Saturday on the YouTube channel. You can find it easily. It's just Sons of Saturday. Type it right into the search bar on YouTube. You will find our shows. Subscribe there. All of our pods come up there. And of course, sonsofsaturday.com. We're cranking out a ton of content on the website. Sam's been proofreading and hitting the go button on so many articles over there. You can catch up on everything that's happened. Laugh, cry, all the rest, because we got funny articles, we got serious articles, we got everything on there. So make sure you're heading over to sonsofsaturday.com. And until next time, when I guess we'll be coming to you talking a little bit of Texas A&M, talking a little bit of Ole Miss, talking a little bit of what was the big result last night? LSU, Brian Kelly getting mad,
Georgia overtime,
winning in overtime. Until then, go Hokies.
Go Hokies.